welcome to another Coach Dave Academy lap guide in the Aston Martin GT4 with myself, Kieran Harrison. This week we're at Laguna Seca for week 10 of the GT4 challenge within iRacing. And without further ado, let's just get started. So that was it. That was the full speed run through of the lap. I'm now on the replay and I'm going to take you slowly through all the racing lines and braking points and things. As you can see, we're just here before the start finish line, just to start the best lap that I just did there. So the thing here, this straight isn't quite straight. Just make sure you keep it as tight as you can. Just shave a little bit off. It doesn't make much difference, but it can help. And also, if you stay tight here, it does affect people wanting to go up the inside, which can be nice. Nice defensive line. Into turn 1, I'm braking just about as we get to the 4, and then using a little bit of this concrete area as we just keeping my left wheels on the white line there, basically. Just using that to widen the corner a bit because it is quite a tight one. You do want to hit both apexes, but avoid the red sausage curb. You want to run out a little bit wide in the middle of the corner and then come back for a straighter exit so you can get on the power hard. You can see I'm already pretty much flat before even the second apex. Just holding it in third, and it can do that in this car, which is quite unusual gear to use it for this corner, but this car, it works. Yeah, just make sure you use all the curb on the exit. Don't touch the sand, you'll get really affects you run out of the corner. Then we get back across to the left and looking for the 2. I'm just braking slightly before, but really I'm looking at the 2 as the reference. We're turning and braking a little bit the whole way through. Down to third again for this one. Again, same story with most of these corners. You want to get right up to, but not really touch the red sausage curb because it bounces the car and just you just don't get as good of an exit if you do hit it. I hit it a little bit there, but just about get away with it. And then using all of this curve slightly more, but I managed to get back on before the curb ends and I don't get an off track. Then use all of this curve on the entry here, again looking for the 2 board. At that point we just brake a little bit, leaving it in 4th, and that's the turn-in point really as well, just as we go past. Again, avoid the red curb, get on the power about at the apex. I'm feeding it on and then full throttle at the apex. Use all the curb, but make sure you get on, like get back on before the end, because you do get an off track if you cut that last bit where the curb ends. And then for this next one, I think I'm looking at the 3 board. There's also like a white line in the road. Just starting to brake at the 3 board here, but I'm also looking at this white line. That's where, in between somewhere is where I really start to brake hard. This one's just down to 4th. I think you can get away with 3rd, but in this car, it just makes it a bit more difficult to get the traction. As long as you manage to get in tight and hold a tight line through, 4th works quite well. Again, avoid the red sausage curb, but use all of the blue and white curb. And you can get on the power really early, like if just there I go to full throttle and we're about halfway through the corner. But it has enough grip and traction to carry through, and you see just there I just stay on the track before the curb starts, and then use all the curb. And then the next 2 corners are really the more difficult ones on the track. This kink in this car I think is actually quite nice. A lot of cars you find the front bottoms out in the dip. In this car, I guess it has a high enough front ride height. Doesn't really have that much of a splitter that it doesn't hit the floor. We're just before the 2 board. I'm braking a little bit. There's not much braking here. Like maybe 40% max. Just down 1 gear to 4th. And then you've really got to... You can kind of get away with it in this car, but in most cars you really have to avoid this red curve. But even in this car, it slows you down to hit it. But you got to try and get in as tight as you can. Here, I do get it just about right. If you end up out wide, there's a lot less camber, I think, on the road, so it doesn't turn as effectively, and it really ends up when you're running out wide, which is quite dangerous. Here, I just dipped my 2 wheels into the right here, but I managed to get back on before the end of the curb, so I don't get dragged too far off. That's about the limit of what you can get away with. And this little straight, I'm moving across to the left so that I can then turn right to open up the left after the crest. So I turn in towards this blue and white curb here, and then just there, just a few car lengths before the 3 board and the crest, I'm starting to brake. You can't brake that hard because you're still turning, so I'm sort of turning to the right at the initial part of the braking zone and then to the left as we get towards the apex. You come down 2 gears to 3rd. Try and set up the second part to a certain extent. You don't have to really focus on it, but don't make it too tight on the second part. So I'm trying to cut as much of this curb as I can to open up the second part. And then this one, it's a blind entry, so you've kind of just got to get used to where the road goes. There's not really much of a reference I can give you, but you will get used to it. Make sure not to cut here, because although it can be faster, there is a slowdown if you do too much, and that's definitely an off track if you do it a little bit. As we come over the crest, we just have to temporarily, you can see my throttle trace. I go hard on the throttle, and then as we go over the crest, I'm releasing it a bit. It's just that as the car naturally goes light, you lose a bit of traction, and you can get in the traction control in the car fishtails a bit if you do that. So just being patient, and then as soon as it compresses again, I'm back to full throttle, and you get good traction. This one, I like to be in the middle of the road. I've seen some people really open up this part, but I don't find it necessary because of the natural banking of the road. I find that just increasing the distance actually slows you down. That's how it works for me personally, anyway. And then just as we start to turn into the left, there's a little bit of braking, just feathering the brake and the throttle, really. The key part really is to not be on the throttle, because that pushes you wide, I guess, as the weight comes off the nose. So just using the brake to maintain the balance so you keep turning. It's just 4th through here. And again, it's the same as all the other corners. You don't want to hit this red sausage curb, but you do want to get all of the rest of the curb. And this one, I use all of this exit curb, but actually it isn't too bad if you don't use all of this. If you stay a little bit tighter, it allows you to get across the left earlier, and then you'll be faster through the following part. So either or really works. Here I'm rushing to get back across the left, and I have to brake before I do quite get across to the left, which just slightly slows me down through the corner. But you can see that I'm starting to brake. I mean, maybe if you look at this escape road where the curb starts, just a little bit before that. Again, because we're high speed and turning, we need to brake quite gently. Just 4th gear through this one, and again, there's another red curb you've got to avoid. But again, This is the difficult part of this track. Really, is you've got to get right into it because the steepest part of the corner with the most camber to help you is right on the apex. But then if you hit the red curb, it throws you out. So you got to try and be quite precise. Use the exit curb and then straight back across the right. And I'm looking for this white line. Probably going to brake slightly before it. Just about on it. Just about in line with the white line. Just before the 2 board. Down to 3rd gear for this one. I was a bit unsure whether to use 2nd, because you would use 1st or 2nd in most cars, but the gears in this car are so weird that 3rd actually works through here. And turn in relatively early and try and cut a little bit of this red curve. This is the exception because I guess you're going slow enough, and it seems to be a bit of a smoother one. It just widens the corner a bit if you do cut it. And then on the exit, the track limits are very nice. As long as your 2 left wheels don't go onto the green AstroTurf, it's not an off track. So make sure to use as much as you can just to try and widen the corner as usual and get a better exit. And that's it, back to the start, and so that concludes the lap of Laguna Seca. So there we have it. That was the full lap guide for the Aston Martin at Laguna Seca for week 10. I hope you found it useful. And as I mentioned during the lap guide, I guess the key here is to really try and get right into those apexes on the blue and white curbs without hitting the red curbs. Because you've got to try and maximize the camber of the corner without hitting the massive curb on the inside. But yeah, thanks for tuning in to another Coach Dave Academy lap guide. Check out the YouTube channel for more. We do these for a variety of cars and different coaches as well. And if you need any more information for Coach Dave, just check out the website or the Discord server, and there'll be everything you need there. That's it from me anyway, so I'll see you in the next one.